What's up guys, Cherry Blossoms here. I wanted to give you a long-term review on the 2014 Triumph Street Triple. I got her in crystal white with the blue accents. I thought I've had it for 5 years now. I should probably give you guys a video. Thanks to Doodle on a Motorcycle for encouraging me to get this video done. Otherwise, I was like, oh, I'll do it one day. Well, today's the day. Let's get to it. So to start off, I want to give you guys a bit of information about myself. I started riding in 2012 on a Kawasaki 250 Ninja. So that was my first bike. I had it for about 2.5 years, about 2 seasons of riding, and I was looking for a long time what would be my next mid-range bike. And this was the bike I chose. I did get it lowered. I am only 5 feet tall with an inseam of 29.5 inches, if I recall correctly. So as a shorty, it was pretty limited to think what would be my next bike that I could comfortably tiptoe on each side. I don't need to flat foot, I'm not that greedy. I want to just be able to touch on both sides, have good mid-range power, be able to zip around town. So most of my riding is commuting. Also something that's fun, lightweight, and looks good. So Triumph really spoke to me because I really like the direction the entire brand has gone. This bike as well as the Daytona 675 are 2 of my favorite bikes in that category. I actually would have probably gotten a Daytona if I could fit on it, but unfortunately due to my height, this is the shortest of that range, and that's the reason why I went with it. So for the lowering component of it, I got Lust Racing lowering links, and we also lowered the front forks a little bit just to balance it out. In doing so, I also had to get the side stand cut and re-welded to be able to have it at least lean a little bit when it's parked. So those are things to keep in mind if you're going to lower a bike. Because it was lowered, I do believe that it affected the bike a little bit in the big sweeping turns. I find that, I'm not sure if it's just the model or because I lowered it, but when I've demoed other motorcycles such as the FZ07, I've ridden a lot of bikes now. I've ridden about probably 20 different bikes. With my experience now of riding for about 7 years, I do believe that because I lowered it, it changed the ergonomics a little bit, and it bites itself a little bit when you do those sweeping turns. Although I'm perfectly fine with how it is. I'm very happy that I lowered it because it's more comfortable for me, frankly. I could probably ride a standard height one now, but when it comes to parking and when you're stopped at a light at uneven ground, you'll have a little more trouble. So I'm fine with having lowered it, and I'm going to keep it that way. So when it comes to the value of this bike, I think it was really great value. I think it was well priced, as well as what I got from the bike, the quality of the build, everything I've been thoroughly happy with this bike. When it comes to servicing, there hasn't been any recalls required, nor has anything major happened or really needed to be done with this bike besides regular oil changes, maintenance, things that are just typical. I've not had any issues, and I've had this bike for 5 years. By the way, I'm at 17,000 kilometers. So when it comes to comfort and seating position, I've found that this bike has been pretty upright. It's not an aggressive sport position like the Daytona would be. I find I like the standard position the most when it comes to riding. I'm most comfortable that way. I'm not really familiar and comfortable with the cruiser style where your feet are forward. So at 400 pounds wet, this bike is pretty good. It's lightweight, it's nimble. I found it's the perfect bike for me. In the 5 years I've had it, I've not found a bike that I'd want to switch it for, and that says a lot. So when it comes to fuel mileage, this bike does about 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. That's pretty good if you ask me. It's about $14 Canadian for a tank of gas, and that lasts about 250 kilometers if the math is right. By the way, math is not my favorite subject, right? I'm an artist, I'm not that great with numbers. So when it comes to just having this bike in general, I find that I get a lot of looks. Like, okay, I guess I'm a girl on a bike, but people don't know what this bike is sometimes because it's not like a CBR 600 or an R6 or Gixxer, it's not one of those super common bikes. So a lot of people ask me, what is this and what size is it? They don't really know what it is. I haven't had the strong desire to switch to the new generation Striple 765. I found that the cost is quite high to get that new bike. I put so much time and money into this one already with the upgrades that I've done in my mods video that you can also watch. And this one is so me, so there's no point for me to actually switch bikes at this point. Financially, there's no reason to. I mean, if someone wanted to let me try their new 765 so I can see the difference, that would be really cool. The things that would be enticing to have the new bike would be the higher tech on the dash. It would have a bit more power. It's really cool looking. I really don't need those things, to be honest, and that's why I'm really happy with keeping this one here instead of upgrading. So my favorite things about the Triumph Street Triple is that I've been having so much fun riding around town. I feel pretty badass on it. I've got power in every gear. First, second, third, fourth. Even if you're kind of going slow and you're in third gear, you still got some torque to get you going. It's so much fun and it's easy to ride. When I bounce back and forth between the Thruxton 900 and then ride this bike, it feels like this bike almost rides itself in that it's very easy, intuitive, it is very quick to do what you want it to. I find that the braking and the acceleration is very much in tune with what you want to do. You almost have to think it, and you just have a very slight motion of the wrist and you're already going. And you can get going pretty quick on this bike. So zipping around town, this has been an absolute pleasure. Going to see any clients or doing errands is way more fun to have this bike than to have the car. So in conclusion, I'm super happy with this bike. I wouldn't really want to change anything about it. That's why I haven't. I know it's so exciting for when people on YouTube get a couple bikes, switch bikes every once in a while. I mean, there's always something new going on, but for me, I know this bike really speaks to me. She's mine. I really like what I've done with her over the years, and so I don't see us parting ways anytime soon. So if anybody is considering a mid-range bike that is the sport naked style, that is comfortable, easy to ride, loved by everybody who's ever tried it. Honestly, the reason why I went with this bike is because in talking with so many people in the industry, nobody has a bad thing to say about this bike. I guess the one thing that might come to mind is some people don't like the looks and the bug eyes. Honestly, the personality, it really does. Once you ride this bike, the personality of how it rides, these bug eyes are quite suitable actually. It's just a quirky little thing. It's super fun. I hope you guys get to try this bike at least once in your riding career. And I hope that you guys get to enjoy and feel the passion. I found that people around the world, whenever you find another person that has the same bike as you, you have an instant bond. So I've made a lot of virtual friends over the years, even through Instagram and on YouTube, who also really appreciate this bike and its personality. So I wanted to say thanks you guys for watching and for sticking with me. Take care.